Gardiner Expressway. Everybody has an opinion on it. I was on it. Yes. Now remember, I come in so early in the morning. I leave, mid-morning, probably get out of here sometimes 10:15, sometimes a little later. But I met a friend for lunch in Liberty Village yesterday. Get right back on the Gardiner around 1 o'clock. It's busy. It's constantly busy. And I don't think if you don't take the DVP, same thing, you don't realize how busy it is. Now, I think this is a key time for the Gardiner Expressway. Why? Because we're sort of rudderless right now looking for a mayor, obviously, in the next 3 or 4 months. And we knew how the previous mayor felt about the Gardiner. Keep sinking that money into it, which would no doubt go over $1 billion. No doubt that it would. And the city's already got a $1.5 billion budget gap. So can we get off the ramp, if you will, in terms of rebuilding the Gardiner? If we get rid of a key road, do we still need another road to utilize? Well, some might say, yes, that's the case, but don't keep building this road is the argument the other way. Lyn Adamson is the chair of Climate Fast and a spokesperson for, again, Gardiner East Transparency, and joins me now on Toronto Today. Lyn, do you want me to call it GET or GET? I like both. Which one should it be?
Oh, it's your choice.
What do you want to happen here? Like that. Let's start with the macro, big picture thing. What do we do with the Gardiner when people say, Lyn Adamson, what do we do with the Gardiner? What do you say?
I say that we don't throw good money after bad, and that we should look at the overall budget and the overall future. You just talked about transportation and how crowded the roads are. We need to get people off of cars as much as possible. Some people have to drive, but whoever can commute by transit, that is what we're promoting, what we need to promote. And we're building new transit lines as well. And our Transform TO, our net zero by 2040, our climate emissions reduction target will not be met if we keep seeing more cars on the road. And so we shouldn't be putting all our spending onto roads. We should be helping it be possible for people to take transit affordably and to have good service. And we're actually going in the opposite direction. So you talked about the billion for the Gardiner, and we're talking about actually a section of the Gardiner East that includes the ramps. It's $600 million for the rebuild of the ramps that provide that link between the Don Valley and the Gardiner that you can just come around. But as soon as you come around that, you are stuck in traffic that is going off to various downtown streets. So it's a very clogged area anyway. So that
there's a lot to cover about what you're saying. Yeah. I think the analogy I would utilize that you're putting towards me is you're going out to a casino. You're in Las Vegas. You've lost $300. Don't take another $300 out of your pocket, or $600 or $700, and try and win that money back. That's throwing bad money, good money after bad. It's already gone. You think we've already spent too much bad money on the Gardiner? Well,
we've spent some money, but not very much, because the contracts for that major work on those ramps, that section of the Gardiner has not been contracted yet. So it's actually not to be rebuilt for another 3 years. And so there's time to take a look. And you mentioned the mayoral race. What we're really just asking for is for the staff to figure out the expenses we've had so far, what the expenses will look like in the future, what the cost overruns are, and what the feasibility is of taking a different route. We're going to lose 5 acres of land, or we have already lost it. We could reclaim that 5 acres of land in the downtown if we didn't rebuild those ramps. That could be for housing, could be 8,000 units of housing. There could be some green space in there. And the sky would be open, because the cars would be coming down and then going back up. If they want to be on the Gardiner, going back up, it's a few minutes of your driving time, but it would make quite a difference to our future, and it would send a message about where transportation priorities are, because we're not funding transit the way we need to. And we just have to get a shift in our patterns. And I think we'd have a much more livable city. And that's what the Net Zero by 2040 plan is all about, is bringing our emissions down so our kids will have a future. So that's kind of important.
Lyn Adamson's our guest, chair of Climate Fast, a spokesman for GET, Gardiner East Transparency. what I look at with the construction and all of it in the city right now is I do wonder about that. Are they fixing roads so they make it better and more appealing to drive? You're right. Right now, it's not very appealing to drive in Toronto. I think we're in for a rough few years for those people that you described it to have to drive. But to your point, a lot of the money we're spending to make it better to drive in Toronto, we're not really spending to make it easier to ride bikes, to take public transit, to take streetcars. We're not doing both things. We're trying to do everything at once, and we're getting nothing accomplished by doing everything at once.
You could pay attention to other roads better if you weren't spending all that money on the one road. It's half of the 10-year capital budget at the city, $2 billion, right? We're talking one section, so we're talking about the $1 billion, but the whole entire Gardiner project is half of the transportation budget, capital budget for 10 years. So the other 50% of the budget has to cover all the other road projects, including, as you said, making safer streets for pedestrians and cyclists. So we're basically starving other road uses as well as transit in order to put that money into that one section of the Gardiner. It only passed by 2 votes back when we had a council that leaned in that direction, and Tory was pushing it very hard at that point in 2015. And that vote wouldn't happen that way today on the council, I'm pretty sure, because that was the deluxe model that they voted on, rather than the one that staff recommended, which is what we're saying they should have another look at right now. And if we did lose a little bit of money, we still shouldn't spend this huge amount to build something we don't want, that doesn't represent the direction we want to see transportation going in our city.
We've got 30 seconds here. It's an obvious question, but are you hoping this is a major election issue going into June as to what we do with it, whether we keep building it and spend hundreds of millions of dollars or whether we tear it down?
Yes, absolutely. It will be an issue in this election. And what we're asking for is for them not to put any more contracts out while they allow for that period of public debate. So that's what we're asking the Infrastructure and Environment Committee on Monday to do, to just halt any new contracts and let the mayoral debate happen. Let people talk about the vision of the future of our city and how we want it to be.
I know it sets us. I know people will say it sets us back 3 months, but we've already have numerous projects that have been. The Ontario line's a great example. The Eglinton LRT that have been set back years. So
yes,
3 months isn't gonna, 3 months to decide the next 50 years.
And we now have a climate lens on decisions. So we need to put that climate lens forth. We didn't have climate emergency back in 2015. We hadn't declared that yet, and we have. So we should rethink the future, and the mayoral election is a good way to do it. Thank you.
Lyn, let's talk in the spring again. I really appreciate you coming on.
Take care. Thank you.
Lyn Adamson, Chair of Climate Fast. I'm spoken for